Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com, and I'm about to unbox the Pantech Marauder from Verizon. If you're new to Android or just smartphones in general, this is a good option because it comes with a starter mode that kind of simplifies everything for you, makes it a little bit easier to understand, but you still get all the smartphone features. If you're not new to Android or smartphones, it's also a great option because it's only $50 on contract, but it has a dual-core Snapdragon S4 processor and 4G LTE speeds. Either way, it's a pretty good deal, at least it seems that way on paper. But is it? Well, we're going to start finding the answer to that question in this unboxing. We'll get some first impressions. Before we start, I have to say a special thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile. They send us the phones that we add to our One Paw Bandit game, which is a game where you guys can win free phones. One of the great things about Best Buy Mobile is that when you buy a phone from them, you don't have to worry about rebates because the price on the tag is a price you pay. So thank you, Best Buy Mobile, for that. Thank you guys for watching this video. It's an unboxing of the Pantech Marauder from Verizon. $49.99 on contract. For a limited time, it's free. Let's get started. So the Pantech Marauder is kind of a unique phone because Pantech has programmed it with two different modes. You have a starter mode for those who are new to smartphones and Android, and then a standard mode, which is basically just Android. So in the unboxing, we're going to try to get a look at least the starter mode to kind of get an idea of what it looks like. There's the phone itself, and underneath that you get some start guides, important consumer information, product and safety, warranty, junk, data cable, micro USB to standard USB, modular charger, AC adapter. It is an LTE phone, so you get an LTE SIM card, which I assume is already in the phone. So put all of that back in there. That's all you get in the box, and let's power it on. And then we'll take a look at it. Hopefully it has a charge. There we go. So another kind of, interesting thing about the Pantech Marauder is that it actually has a physical keyboard, which is becoming more and more rare these days. But it actually looks like a really nice keyboard. I'm going to test it out and see what it's like. It actually reminds me a lot of the Pantech Laser, which I happen to have just, lying around, even though it came out a couple years ago. Actually I pulled it out of storage. Anyway, you can kind of see the similarities, and especially, if you get the chance to feel it in person. If you've ever used the Pantech Laser and that keyboard, it's very, very similar, the feedback that you get on the keys. But we'll talk about that later on. First, we'll get started, and we'll unlock it. The battery is low, 1% remaining. Okay, so let me get and it's shutting down. Okay, so let me get this plugged in, and then we'll get started with it. Okay, so we have the phone powered on now, and you can see right now it's in standard mode. So this is all just standard Android 4.0 with Pantech's custom skin. First of all, let's do a quick hardware tour on the front. You've got a 3.8-inch WVGA display, 480 by 800. It's going to give you about 246 pixels per inch. Now, even though it is an Android 4.0 phone, you can see that Pantech has still included 4 capacitive buttons. So we have back, home, I'm assuming this is the task, recent apps, and then a menu button as well. So you still kind of get that Android 2.3 feel, even though it is Android 4.0. On the right side, nothing. Left side, volume rocker buttons and the micro USB charging port, power button, screen lock button, and the 3.5mm headphone jack. The display looks great. I'm not sure if it's a Super AMOLED. The notes don't say anything about that, but it's very bright and crisp. It looks really nice. But let's go over and take a look at the starter mode for the Pantech Marauder and kind of get an idea, because we already know what standard mode looks like. Okay, so it looks like starter mode, first off, kind of gives you a quick run through of what Android is like, how to navigate between the home buttons, or between the home screens. Okay, so we start out with some widgets. Looks like we can add contacts. Do not use. Yeah, so you can add contacts. So we'll add Verizon Wireless. We can edit those. There's a dialer. That's convenient. Looks like we have some shortcuts. Now I wonder if I can move these. Okay, so you cannot move around these shortcuts. So these are already set, and you can't change them or move them around. You have a page of favorites. You can edit these favorites, it looks like. So we have, you know, by default camera, gallery, people, but we can add, we'll say browser. So we'll add the browser, and then we'll go to done. So now we have that. So, you know, kind of to me, it reminds me of a feature phone. You know, there are some widgets and then some shortcuts, but there's not a whole lot of customization. It's, you know, very basic and simple. And for some people, you know, that'll be great. That's really all they need. They don't need a lot of customization as long as it looks nice. So let's go to a messaging, and I mentioned that it has a physical keyboard. You can see also it has, this actually comes with Swift key. That's interesting. I wonder if that's just preloaded or if that comes with every model. Anyway, so here we have Swift key out of the box, which is interesting, and doesn't look like we have any other virtual keyboards, but you also have the physical keyboard. So let me do a test. We'll say the quick brown fox is surprised that this phone comes with Swift key, because that is very interesting. Yeah, but the keyboard feels great. You know, the keys are flat. You can see they're very, very flat, flush with the surface, but they have a nice rubbery grip to them, and at least for me, that's one thing that's really important with the keyboard. I want it to have a nice rubbery tactile feel, because when they're plastic and they're slippery, you know, my fingers slide all around. It's really hard to get a grip, but these have a really nice grip on them, and even though they're flat, there's still enough feedback. There's enough travel to where you can tell whenever you're pressing a key or whenever you haven't pressed it yet. You do have a full number row here, space bar, comma, period, and then you can use function to get to the question mark, .com, and then other things like that. You do have shortcuts for messaging, looks like the browser probably, and then you have some arrow keys here. So overall, it feels like a nice keyboard, and then I'll test it out more and then see what that's like. Interesting though that it comes with Swift key. That's very weird. Let's go back home. And this is an LTE phone. Let's take a look at the web browser. I am getting a 4G signal right now. So we'll go to phonedog.com. The best phone news and something reviews, I'm assuming. So this is loading up our mobile-friendly version. So take a look at this one column here. It loaded pretty fast. It's not done loading yet, but still loaded up pretty fast. I typically get great LTE speeds with Verizon. Verizon's the one network where it's consistently great. So you can scroll down, latest mobile news, pinch to zoom. Now this has a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor. I'm not entirely sure about this, but word on the street is that it's a Snapdragon S4 processor. I would be surprised, considering this phone is, you know, $50 on contract. Right now you can get it for free. So I'd be kind of surprised if it actually was that Snapdragon S4 processor. But, you know, either way, it's a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor. And as you can see, it's very smooth. If we go to the app drawer, of course this is the simplified app drawer, so you can see things are kind of organized differently. I want to go back to standard mode because this is... How do I go back to standard mode? Well, I guess we'll say that for later. But you can see, you know, scrolling through the home pages, very smooth, very little lag, and so so far it seems to be doing well. The dual-core processor, and then you also have a gig of RAM to go along with that. Real quick on the back, 5-megapixel camera, no flash. Whenever I saw that, I was like, what the heck? I'm not entirely sure what Pantech was thinking with that, but that's kind of ridiculous. But it is a 5-megapixel camera. You also get a front-facing camera. As you can see, this is a VGA camera. Inside here is a 1680 milliamp hour battery. Should give you about 8.2 hours of talk time, and then a couple days of standby time. I'll test that out and see what it's like. But so far, you know, seems like a decent phone for $50. The display looks good. The keyboard so far, I like the keyboard. And then, you know, having that starter mode for those who are kind of new to Android or, you know, new to smartphones, it might be helpful. You know, maybe I'll give this to my dad or, you know, someone else that I know that's kind of new to smartphones and see if it see if it's helpful to them. But you know, so far it seems like a decent phone. So I'll test it out. I'll come back with a full review, a video review, and a written review. I'll also have my first impressions up on phonedog.com, so keep it there for more news and info about the Pantech Marauder. Otherwise, check it out at your local Verizon store. Like I said, it's free right now as a special promo. But yeah, check back in to PhoneDog for the full review. Thanks guys for watching this. I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.